Hello, friends. This is Sam Chaney reporting for Weaponized News. Today, November 11th, 2025. Happy Veterans Day. War is a racket. Happy government shutdown day number 42, as it may be coming to an end soon here, sadly. Apologies for yesterday's title of the broadcast. It was, I don't know, maybe it was on my end, some kind of glitch, but we had the wrong title on yesterday's show. So thank you for joining us on this Veterans Day. What do we have in the news today? Of course, the government's always off, but they're never off of tyranny. We got Veterans Day to go over, a bunch of propaganda, preparing the American mind to go to war here now in South America and around the rest of the world. So we'll cover that, show you all this propaganda. And sorry to tell you, veterans, many know, and those in the service right now, you're fighting for a corporate government. This is not, you're not fighting for a constitutional republic, America's sovereignty. You're not keeping us safe around the world by killing the boogeyman that the intelligence agencies create. I'm sorry, but that is the truth here now. And we're all growing up so we can handle the truth, right? And so I know it's a lot to overcome, this never-ending deluge of propaganda coming out of the government and your Mockingbird media. But we're going to attempt to do it today on Weaponized News. So we're going to expose all the propaganda, and then we're going to give you some forgotten history, little 13-minute documentary, mini documentary on Medley Butler, War's a Racket, forgotten history. And so we'll show you, expose all the lies, and then show you some truth here. What else do we got? We got economic news. Well, there was a rally. There was a Turning Point USA rally yesterday in Berkeley. It became violent. Antifa protested. We'll cover a little bit of that. And then we'll cover, are we going to invade Venezuela? Looks like it. All signs point toward yes. I don't know what it's going to look like, but the largest aircraft carrier in the U.S. fleet, the Gerald R. Ford, has arrived there in the Caribbean Sea, right off the coast of Venezuela. We'll cover that, the developments on the potential invasion regime change in Venezuela. More on the government shutdown. News on that front, the economy. More on the propaganda front. The phrase is affordability. And so you're going to hear a whole lot of that. Trump's a disconnected 1%er elite. He's not a man of the people. And he's disconnected. He's disconnected. The populism that he campaigned on and won on is fading fast. And the lies are just, they're naked. The emperor has no clothes. We continue to expose them here at Weaponized News every day. We got geopolitical news. We got news out of in Russia making it very clear. Foreign Minister Lavrov says the demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine are mandatory conditions for resolving the conflict. And here in our fake news, Mockingbird media, the government, we don't know. Putin's a madman. He wants to take over the world, starting with Europe. And it's like, no, they just told you exactly what needs to happen. And it's the same thing. Huh? What? Nope. They're madmen. Okay. We can't figure out why the Houthis are shooting rockets at the ships there. Looks like Houthis are going to lay off a little bit, as they may give peace a chance there. Oh yeah, America's proposing building a base right there on the Gazan border in aardvark land. Imagine that. we're going to take a hands-off approach to this whole genocide in Gaza. No, we're neck deep in it now. Thanks a lot, aardvarks and Trump, piece of garbage. And Jared Kushner, Trump campaigned and said, he's not going to be part of the 47 Trump administration. He's neck deep in our foreign policy. Nobody voted for this asshole, war profiteer, Jared Kushner. All that and much more on this Tuesday edition of Weaponized News. A lot of aardvark genocide still to report on. All of that. Let's get to this day in history. Where are we at on this day in history? We go back to the year 1400. On November 11th, we saw the Battle of Aleppo. Timur and his army defeat the forces of Sultan Farajah Mamluk, ruler of Egypt. 20,000 people reportedly massacred, and a pyramid of skulls is built. So think of that. That is quite intimidating in the year 1400 to see a pyramid of 20,000 skulls built. When you come across this land, I would say that is very intimidating. So we celebrate that on this day. 20,000 reportedly pyramid of skulls built there in Aleppo. In 1647, on this day, Massachusetts passes first compulsory school attendance law in the American colonies. The beginning of the end right there for independent thought here in America. In 1675, I'm sure all the math whizzes will appreciate this, German mathematician Gottfried Wilhelm Leibniz demonstrates integral calculus for the first time to find the area under the graph of the function y equals fx. And so those that have gone through math, I'm sure, appreciate integral calculus. Thank you very much, German mathematician, for that. Continuing here. In 1864, on this day, U.S. Civil War, Union General Sherman's troops destroy Rome, Georgia. Rome, Georgia, destroyed on this day, 1864. In 1880, on this day, Ned Kelly meets his fate. Australian bushranger, gang leader, and outlaw legend Ned Kelly is hanged at Melbourne. Galoo. Ned Kelly hanged on this day, November 11th, 1880. The war's over, but don't get too excited. 1918, World War I armistice signed by the Allies and Germany comes into effect with hostilities ending at 11 a.m., the 11th hour on the 11th day of the 11th month. Veterans Day used to be called Armistice Day, but we've forgotten all about that now, haven't we? Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. In 1921, on this day, U.S. President Warren G. Harding dedicates the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier at Arlington National Cemetery. In 1926, U.S. Route 66 is established from Chicago, Illinois to Santa Monica, California, spanning 2,448 miles. Quite a stretch of highway there, Route 66. And in 2013, on this day, The Hunger Games Catching Fire premieres in London, England. And some would say we're well on our way to living in the real life's Hunger Games. And in 2020 on this day, UK becomes the first European country to record over 50,000 bat-related deaths, the fifth country to hit the mark after the US, Brazil, India, and Mexico. And they were doing the whole bat protocols there as well in the UK, as we exposed in great pain to us. And so we know what was causing it. It was the protocols, and it was not the bats. Okay. I think we've well established that well ahead. And now it's breaking again, I see, as people are still coming to this realization what actually happened during the medical intervention period. We reported in live time here at Weaponized News about it when it really mattered, but it's still hanging out there. And with that, let's go to, I'm going to have Thomas from Alpha Mega Energy joining us today as well. Well, let's play. Here's Trump propaganda for Veterans Day. Says that U.S. will officially begin to celebrate Victory Day in commemoration of victories in World War I and World War II. Did we win World War I or II? The bankers won. Nazis won World War II. Operation Paperclip? I don't know. But they keep this lie going, and apparently America loves wrapping themselves in the flag and going and dying in illegal foreign wars of aggression for international corporations and the central bank cartel. Maybe someday, some way, they'll wake up. I doubt it, though.
I watched UK, I watched Russia. They were celebrating Victory Day, World War II. And I said, we got to have a Victory Day. Nobody even talked about it in our country. But from now on, we're going to be celebrating Victory Day for World War I, for World War II, and frankly, for everything else. Time and again, America's enemies have learned that if you threaten the American people, our soldiers are coming for you, because our soldiers never give up, never surrender, and never, ever quit. They fight, 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 and they win, win, win.
It's clear to me why President Trump says all the time we're the strongest, most powerful, most lethal, and most prepared military on the planet. Because you are that strength. You are that power. You are that lethality. And you are prepared. It is on your shoulders that we stand, and it is to you that I am committed each and every day to simply have your back.
Time.
Sorry, I was muted. I said, now go die in an illegal foreign war of aggression. Thank you for your service. Thomas, how are you doing this Tuesday?
Doing all right. It's good to be here on Weaponized News. Hopefully my sound's coming in. Got an internet issue today. The internet was completely off here. It was quite the ordeal to get it going. And I'm tethering in off a mobile phone connection, personal hotspot here on Weaponized News today through the, I don't know what's going on with it. Third world difficulties, right? Once again, in the middle of the business day, Cambodia style. So still don't have the development of big tech, Silicon Valley, California there. So sometimes over here in the morning time, it's morning time here in Southeast Asia, you wake up and nothing works. And you have no idea what the hell's going on. Is it the end of the world yet today? So maybe I need to get direct feed to Bill Hates. Now there's a, speaking of Bill Hates, there's some articles coming out that NAD, the miracle magic potion that's supposed to cure all your ills when the mRNA shots wouldn't, and that the Nobel Prize is, I'm being pumped with all these messages about the Nobel organization that gives out the Nobel Peace Prizes, right? I guess they're ramping up to give Trump a Peace Prize award for his warp speed. And nobody even bothered to look. But the NAD so-called supplements that people are being fed everywhere are literal mRNA parts. But nobody ever looks, right? They just talk like this is all magic potions that have magical features and benefits. And now it's fine. Now it's coming out. Now it's starting to unravel. The entire NAD scam saga is starting to unravel with articles like, are you suffering from not getting enough energy from your NAD? Is NAD not giving you the energy that your influencer online promised you? So this is unraveling. And as the Nobel organization is about to give Trump a peace prize, they're pushing endlessly reminders of all of the medical interventions from back in Marie Curie, the wild fraudster, and all of these fraudulent so-called interventions that they've done over the generations. And they're rehashing and bringing up these same people again and again prior to, I guess, doing a practice run to roll out some kind of award for Mr. Warp Speed and Stargate, Warp Speed and Stargate, as he prepares to bail out scam fraudman's OpenAI, non-open OpenAI, which Elon Musk says is a total fraud, and the scam fraudman can never be trusted. At least we can thank our new technocracy god, Elon Musk, for exposing scam fraudmen. Thanks to Elon Musk. Shall we bow? Shall we all take a bow now, or seek Kyle to technocracy Musk? Right?
No, what you should do is take the damn brain chip already, though.
Get our brain, our filament threads through our brains, and don't you dare question the aardvark on the fake free speech platform. Don't you dare do that, or you'll be censored. And your DMs are being watched, of course, as well, as he admitted. And more rounds of new throttling algorithms have been placed on many people recently. And the pay going down for the influencers using X. How about that?
Let me get on to the reporting on veterans.
Lost here. It says.
Let me get on to the reporting on Veterans Day. Here's Trump lays the wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier in Arlington Cemetery today. So there's Trump doing that presidential duty. First Lady put out a message saying Veterans Day honoring those who served. Freedom endures because of generations of brave men and women who answered the call to serve. Thank you for your sacrifice made to defend our nation and our liberty. Really? Here she is with the troops there.
Defending our liberty against who? Who was it that attacked America ever? Anybody?
Al-Qaeda, and now we honored them yesterday at the White House. Here's Trump. Well, let's play this for so you can get the pro-war, pro-government propaganda out of the way here. Here's Trump with the memorial service. Very sad there indeed. They're prepping us for.
So, what was that? Was that Trump giving a salute to the tens of millions of people that he mass murdered with the homicide shots?
No, that's the unknown soldiers. That's all the hundreds. That's all the millions they've murdered in their illegal foreign wars of aggression.
Oh, forget about those unknown soldiers. They don't even exist then, right? The vax injured unknown soldiers dropping dead everywhere. Hey, never mind that our unknown soldiers were all injected with the chemical weapons.
God knows what. Yeah,
mass destruction.
Hey,
let's never mind that.
For their health. So they're pumping it. They're prepping us for a big war. I keep saying it here now. They're pumping out the propaganda. Trump here now on the sports talk show program, the Pat McAfee show. Let's hear now what Veterans Day means to Trump, as they're all over the sports media now here. And that's how you know they're prepping the propaganda for war. As we're in the new Trump war on drugs and potential regime change in Venezuela.
To me, it means taking care of the veterans because they've taken care of us. And, you know, we have a 92% approval rating at the VA. And I just got back from making a speech. It was beautiful. The whole surrounding, the whole, I don't know if you've got to witness it a little bit on television, but it was something. And the veterans have taken such good care of us. What I think of with the veterans is how do I take care of the veterans? And we've done a really good job. Doug Collins, as you know, is the secretary. And we have a tremendous approval rating. We do.
We have a tremendous approval rating, he says. Okay, here's the. Well, they say common sense has. This is the White House. Common sense has returned to the VA, making honoring our heroes easier than ever, honoring veterans by better serving them. Promises made, promises kept. Maybe this is true. I don't know. I haven't talked to any veterans seeking care from the VA in a while. VA backlog down 49% since Trump entered office. Record 3 million claims processed fiscal year 2025. 20 new clinics open nationwide. 1.4 million after hours appointments for veterans. 800 million extra for facility upgrades. Faster non-VA care access for enrolled veterans, survivor benefits reformed after Biden-era issues, electronic health record system accelerated. That's part of your technocracy right there. 106 million recovered from duplicate billings with CMS. 51,000 plus homeless veterans housed in fiscal year 25, most since 2019. Tens of thousands returned to in-office work. Union contracts ended. Millions redirected to veterans. DEI eliminated, saving 14 million plus from Biden policies. Phased out gender dysphoria treatment. Promises made, promises kept by the Trump administration. Allegedly, that's what the White House is claiming today. And then all of your government agencies are now still on the shutdown, but they all put out their propaganda memes. This is the Department of USDA. Brooke Rollins, thank you for your service, honoring all who served. Department of Energy, thank you veterans, honoring all who served. FBI, thank you for your service. Veterans Day. More from the FBI. I thought I had another one. Coast Guard. And they do like to repurpose these old school propaganda posters. And so they are doing a good job there. I don't know how much money it's saving, but thank you for your service from the Coast Guard. And then the War Department here now. The big dogs there at the Pentagon. Veterans Day, honoring all those who served. The flag of Iwo Jima raising famously there. And of course, we know Hamas attacked us at Pearl Harbor. And with all that propaganda, here's some hardcore truth for you. The Smedley Butler mini documentary that we shall play here. War's a Racket. Medal of Honor winner, General Smedley Butler, War's a Racket. Short 13-minute mini documentary here, Forgotten History. And by the way, YouTube, don't tag me here. They even say in this Forgotten History documentary that it's fair use. And so we're putting commentary at the beginning and end of this, making it transformative piece of media, and therefore it is fair. We're broadcasting it under fair use. If you had any questions, and they do put a fair use copyright disclaimer even under this mini documentary, saying that is allowed for fair use, which we are doing here now, making it transformative, as I just explained, YouTube. And so we just showed you all the propaganda to wrap yourself in the flag and get patriotic, to go die in an illegal foreign war of aggression for multinational corporations. But here's the truth of the matter from none other than General Smedley Butler. Let's watch this, and we'll be back with more news, as we're truly honoring our veterans this Veterans Day by telling the damn truth.
Makes me so damn mad a whole lot of people speak of you as tramp. By God, they didn't speak of you as tramps in 1917 and 18. No. Let me tell you something. I've been all over the world. I've seen you fellows on the streets in Washington. There isn't this well-behaved group of citizens in the world that's sitting right in this camp. Take it from me, this is the greatest demonstration of Americanism we have ever had. Pure Americanism. Willing to take this beating as you've taken it. Stand right steady. You keep every law. And why in the hell shouldn't you? Who in the hell has done all the bleeding for this country and for this law and this Constitution anyhow but you fellas?
Many Marines have demonstrated their courage on the battlefield in many wars, but Smedley Butler displayed a courage that is unprecedented in U.S. history. By maintaining his oath to the Constitution, he became the sworn enemy of the very people he fought for, becoming an even greater hero. Who was Smedley Butler? Besides being twice decorated with the Medal of Honor, how did he display even greater courage and preserve the U.S. Constitution, preventing a coup, installing a military dictatorship? Why was he hated by the large captains of industry and politicians alike?
Hello, I'm Colin Heaton, former soldier, Marine Corps Scout Sniper, history professor, historian and book author, and we will answer these questions and other issues on this segment of Forgotten History.
Born on July 30th, 1881, Major General Smedley Butler was the eldest son of a Quaker family from West Chester, Pennsylvania. Butler came from a line of civil servicemen. His father, Thomas Butler, was a Republican representative for the state of Pennsylvania in Congress, and his maternal grandfather, Smedley Darlington, was also a Republican congressman. Butler served in several major world conflicts, including the Spanish-American War, the Boxer Rebellion, the Philippine-American War, and World War I. He had been appointed commanding officer of the Gendarmerie during the 1915 to 1934 United States occupation of Haiti. During his time in service, Butler became known for his bravery and relentless leadership in battle, and he was awarded with several distinctions, including 2 Medals of Honor. The first was for his actions at Veracruz, Mexico, on April 22, 1914, and the second for his actions on November 17, 1915, in Haiti. For his actions as a 37-year-old brigadier general in France during World War I, he was awarded an Army Distinguished Service Medal, the Marine Corps Brevet Medal, a Navy Distinguished Service Medal, and the French Order of the Black Star, akin to a knighthood. From 1924 to 1925, he was appointed as the Philadelphia Director of Public Safety, as the mayor, W. Freeland Kendrick, wanted a military man to root out police corruption and attack organized crime related to prohibition, gambling, and money laundering. After this short-term position was completed, Butler took time to reflect. He became disillusioned with the many wars America had fought on behalf of big business interests. His insights provoked great controversy and political retaliation after he published his book on the subject, putting his experiences and beliefs out to the public. After Butler retired from the U.S. Marine Corps in October 1931, he made a nationwide tour in the early 1930s, giving his speech, War is a Racket. The speech was so well received that he wrote a longer version as a short book published in 1935. His work was considered in Reader's Digest as a book supplement, which helped popularize his message. Butler discussed how business interests commercially benefit from warfare at the expense of the soldier and citizen. Butler recommended the following 3 steps to disrupt the war racket to save American lives in the future. Making war unprofitable, Butler suggested that the means for war should be conscripted before those who would fight the war. Quote, "It can be smashed effectively only by taking the profit out of war. The only way to smash this racket is to conscript capital and industry and labor before the nation's manhood can be conscripted." End quote. He had another quote that was quite substantial. Quote, "Let the officers and the directors and the high-powered executives of our armament factories and our steel companies and our munitions makers and our shipbuilders and our airplane builders and the manufacturers of all things that provide profit in wartime, as well as the bankers and the speculators, be conscripted to get $30 a month, the same wage as the lads in the trenches get." Another quote, "The trouble with America is that when the dollar only earns 6% over here, then it gets restless and goes overseas to get 100%. Then the flag follows the dollar and the soldiers follow the flag." End quote. Butler then delved even deeper into the evils of warfare to support corporate profit. His main insights came to light after President Woodrow Wilson threw the United States into World War I to protect the business interest of his financial and political benefactors. Quote, "I helped in the raping of half a dozen Central American republics for the benefit of Wall Street. The record of racketeering is long. Looking back on it, I feel I might have even given Al Capone a few hints. The best he could do was to operate his racket in 3 city districts. We Marines operated on 3 continents. I spent 33 years in the Marines, most of my time being a high-class muscle man for big business, for Wall Street and the bankers. In short, I was a racketeer for capitalism." End quote. Smedley Butler also believed that acts of war should be decided by those who fight it. He also suggested that Congress pass a limited referendum to determine if the war is to be fought, is it worth it to the nation as a whole, and is it in the nation's best interest? He also believed that limitations should be imposed, limiting militaries to self-defense. For the United States, Butler recommended that the Navy be limited by law to operating within 200 miles of the coastline, and the Army restricted to the territorial limits of the country, ensuring that war, if fought, can never be one of aggression, only defense. In an introduction to the Reader's Digest version of his book, correspondent Lowell Thomas praised Butler's moral as well as physical courage. Thomas had written Smedley Butler's oral autobiography. It contains this summary, quote, "War is a racket. It always has been. It is possibly the oldest, easily the most profitable, surely the most vicious. It is the only one international in scope. It is the only one in which the profits are reckoned in dollars and the losses in lives. A racket is best described, I believe, as something that is not what it seems to the majority of the people. Only a small inside group knows what it is about. It is conducted for the benefit of the very few at the expense of the very many. Out of war, a few people make huge fortunes." End quote. Butler confessed that during his decades of service in the Marine Corps, quote, "I helped make Mexico, especially Tampico, safe for American oil interests in 1914. I helped make Haiti and Cuba a decent place for the National City Bank boys to collect revenues in. I helped in the raping of a half a dozen Central American republics for the benefits of Wall Street. The record of racketeering is long. I helped purify Nicaragua for the International Banking House of Brown Brothers in 1909 to 1912. Where have I heard that name before? I brought light to the Dominican Republic for American sugar interests in 1916. In China, I helped see to it that Standard Oil went its way unmolested." End quote. Butler's book and revelations were explosive, and the large corporations that benefited most from global conflict immediately had their knives out for him. He was lured into a political ambush by the leadership of the American Legion, but he saw through it. Butler was well known for his advocacy for veterans' rights and was a vocal opponent of how the government treated veterans. He was especially incensed after the Washington Bonus Army fiasco in 1932, which he opposed. There were many in business and industry who felt that the White House, principally Presidents Calvin Coolidge and Herbert Hoover and later Franklin D. Roosevelt, were restricting big business and they wanted their monopolies. This was especially true of the feelings they held towards Roosevelt for his taking the U.S. off the gold standard and his starting to lean towards eliminating business with Nazi Germany and Japan due to their political positions. Leaving the gold standard was a major problem for many high-ranking officials, businessmen and bankers in 1933. Although there were several recognized issues with money backed by gold, such as dependency on gold production and short-term price instabilities, many bankers were fearful that their gold-backed loans would not be paid back in full by the president's new policies. Butler saw these issues no different from Woodrow Wilson declaring war against Imperial Germany and Austria-Hungary in 1917, because if the Allies lost that war, billions of dollars would be lost that were held in European banks, and Wilson owed a lot of political favors. In addition, FDR's social projects, such as the Tennessee Valley Authority Act of 1933, smacked of communist-style socialism and required the wealthy businessmen to compete with the federal government on bidding their projects, if there were any bids at all. The plan was to bring Butler in to lead a 500,000-man private army and lead a peaceful march into Washington, D.C. in a show of force to replace Roosevelt in favor of a nationalist government run by the military, leaving FDR as a figurehead. Knowing that this was perhaps the most serious violation of the U.S. Constitution, Butler declined, and he was hauled into McCormick-Dixon congressional committees on un-American activity in November 1934. Ironically, those whom Butler accused of plotting to overthrow the government called him a liar. Those he accused included the DuPont and Rockefeller families, Prescott Bush, the father and grandfather of both presidents, Robert Sterling Clark, an heir to the Singer sewing machine fortune, Gerald C. McGuire, a bond salesman, and Robert Doyle. McGuire and Doyle were prominent members of the American Legion and had amassed a fortune in their Legion account that was not used to help veterans. Instead, they were using that money to try and organize an army of veterans that would serve their purposes, and they had help from Bush and others. Butler gave his testimony and provided his evidence, including the testimony and written notes of Philadelphia record writer Paul Comley French, who agreed to meet with McGuire as well. During this meeting, McGuire told French that he believed a fascist state was the only answer for America, and that Smedley was the ideal leader because he could organize 1 million men overnight. Later, it was stated that everything Butler testified to under oath was verified to be accurate, but Butler had the evidence. Quickly becoming known as the White House coup and the Wall Street putsch, many major news sources, owned by these big business groups, derided Butler's claims. As the committee's final report was not made available to the public, it was considered too explosive. In essence, Butler had exposed the fact that big business dictated American foreign policy for financial gain. They owned the politicians all the way to the White House, and that we the people paid for it with our lives. Those implicated laughed off Butler's claims. Evidence of the validity of Butler's testimony was not released until the 21st century, when the committee's papers were published in the public domain. No one was ever prosecuted in connection to the plot. What is now known was that Major General Smedley Butler, a critic of unrestricted capitalism, was also a staunch opponent of militarized socialism, once again becoming a hero when he stood up to the wealthiest and most powerful men in the country who wanted to overthrow our president. Butler also made many enemies, as he was also opposed to Jim Crow laws and a segregated military. He felt that black and Native Americans should have all the rights of whites, and that should include no discrimination in society or the military. Smedley Butler died on June 21, 1940, his reputation as a warrior and patriot intact, as was his legacy of service to the nation and the Constitution.
We hope you enjoyed this segment of Forgotten History. Please click like and subscribe for free, and please stay tuned. And
thank you, Forgotten History. So we're like a little more than a century later, and it's the same routine here now. Thomas says we're prepping for the drug war. They tell us now is the excuse to invade Venezuela. But on the back of that, it looks like Thomas is having some internet issues. Looks like he froze up over there. Hey, yesterday, let's remember, Trump posted this from the White House. It was my honor to spend time with Ahmed Hassan al-Shara, the new president of Syria, where we discussed all the intricacies of peace in the Middle East, of which he is a major advocate. I look forward to meeting and speaking again Everyone is talking about the great miracle that is taking place in the Middle East. Having a stable and successful Syria is very important to all countries in the region. Literally a slap in the face to all veterans that served since 9/11 in the war on terror, allegedly against Al Qaeda, meeting Al Qaeda head there at the White House. It's can't even make this stuff up, but that's the reality that we live in, Thomas. How you doing over there? Can you hear me? No?
There we go. Checking.
So what do you think about al-Shara, the former head of ISIS, Al-Qaeda there in Syria, now being a fully reformed terrorist and president of Syria, meeting in the White House yesterday with Trump? What do you think of this whole show they put on?
Well, the first thing that jumps to my mind for some reason are the Zionist-controlled, the Bibi Netanyahu propaganda campaign-controlled X spaces, where they're all infiltrating all of the Christian spaces, Christian worship groups, and these kind of things, and discussion groups, insisting that I mean, they're trying to make sure that there's no aardvark hate going on in there. They're trying to police that.
Don't be antiseptic. Definitely not on this show. We love all the aardvarks.
And doing their policing of that, right, to make sure that if anybody says anything that is untoward, that these animal little Christians, the Goyim of the Goyim nations, get their act together, and is what they're doing. And
well, I'm glad
so
that we have interweb moderators, so there's no anti-Septicism out there.
And they're saying that all of these people, right, including these hundreds of rabbis all across every TV station that there is in recordings, insisting that these people should be eradicated, whatnot. All of them should be saved, and the gospel goes out to all of those people as well. And we can't dare be hateful towards them or condemning in any regard. We can't pass any judgment on them in any regard. But so I guess maybe that extends to this guy. They want us to extend that to this guy as well. Forget about 9/11 and any involvement in these supposed known terrorists.
He allegedly this guy killed a bunch of Americans in Iraq and Syria. You know what I mean?
Well, hey, as long as they've supposedly reformed, because hey, well, Paul, as they said in these spaces, Paul reformed. That's their excuse. So you can't ask for any consequence on these people's actions. You see, you little Christians, you need to know your role, know your place. Those who we prop up to rule over you, you cannot. You need to call for amnesty, right? You need to call for amnesty for Bill Hates. You need to call for amnesty for Lizer and Borla and Tedros and the WHO and all of these people who didn't force anything on anybody, as they keep endlessly saying to us now, right, in their total flip-flop after being on television, endlessly telling everybody that they need to be forced this. So that's the first thing that comes to mind. It's pretty wild. Will the genocides of Christians finally cease in Syria? I doubt it.
Once they're all dead, it will.
And who is that being done by? Of course, we were told that was done by ISIS. And now this guy,
which is actually just Western intelligence. And so this guy is Western intelligence.
Western, right? Western. So if it's Israeli, then it's called Western. You see,
well, you could group them all together: Mossad, MI6, CIA. They're all working together, So you just say Western intelligence, and yeah, aardvarks are part of that. So this guy's just coming back home, honestly,
running it off, controlling it all, yeah.
So all that happened, spitting in the veteran's face. Thank you for your service as we honor Al Qaeda at the White House. Trump, America first. There you go.
Right. So all the troops, go vote harder. You're not allowed to see the code of those selections machines at all. Don't you dare question that. Enemies, foreign, only enemies foreign, definitely not domestic. Don't think about that. Don't get involved in that. Your selections are secure on the only machines that can't possibly be hacked. Oh, look, just in time for our advertisement from the local database that just got hacked.
And so, Thomas, here's your real American flag. I created this yesterday, and so here is the real American flag, not the flag. And this is the thumbnail for today's show. And so this is for the troops on Veterans Day. Very sad, but this is the truth and the reality of the situation. This is the actual American corporate flag there, with all the corporate sponsors that we're fighting all these illegal foreign wars of aggression for, the natural resources of these countries. None of it's to do with keeping us safe, and all the boogeymen out there. I got news for you. America is the top boogeyman in the world. But there's your corporate flag that I made there to honor Veterans Day, Thomas. And then you could see it came right from here. And so I'm not making this stuff up. These are the sponsors of America 250, America250.org. Of course, these are your corporate sponsors. These are who the troops actually are out there fighting and dying for, is for these corporations to make to war profiteer and steal natural resources from the third world, developing world. And so this is who our troops are fighting and dying for, is the shareholders of these corporations, in large part BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, if you want to consolidate it all down. My personal favorite here is either Lockheed Martin or Palantir or Oracle, maybe. I don't know. These are the top three. Who's your personal favorite multinational corporation on here, Thomas?
Well, you got to go with the great octopus, Goldman Sachs.
Oh, there you go. That's always a favorite as well.
The ultimate octopus of the masters of the universe. And earlier, we were talking about the gold standard. Let's not forget how Goldman Sachs rigged. People want to talk about the price of gold being rigged. They pumped gold up to 2150 and then collapsed it down to 1100, almost a 50% drubbing. And they did this to retail deliberately. They got caught. They were banned from gold trading again, quietly, behind the scenes with the SEC.
Who's that, Goldman Sachs?
Yes, they got caught rigging the oil price up to $148 a barrel in 2008. And then the subprime mortgage industry and mortgage brokers falsely get the blame for that. Everybody lies that it had something to do with subprime mortgages or the mortgage broker selling these things. And yet Goldman Sachs ground the entire world economy to a halt, just like 2020 with the fraud vid. And they ground it to a halt by jacking up $148 a barrel. It's the only time we've seen $150 a barrel. And they did this by buying up all of these oil port companies and the oil warehousing companies off the eastern seaboard, and just sticking the tanker ships in the Atlantic Ocean, parking them there, not telling anybody about this, making a fake artificial shortage of oil, skyrocketing the price up, manipulating the delivery of oil and what's coming into the refineries and whatnot, and whether they could get their hands on oil or not. And this kind of thing is still happening. They're still doing it, but it's covered up better now because they found out how they were caught last time. And that's what criminals always do. They just look for some way that they can, right, when they find out how they got caught, then they just, okay, well, we can't let them find out that. They just move on to the next thing. And that's the first thing whenever you catch somebody, right? Oh, how did you catch me? How did you catch me? This is their main concern, is finding out how they got caught so that they can get away with it next time. And so Goldman Sachs was banned from the oil business, the oil trading futures business. After that investigation was done, they collapsed, right, the 2008 economy in that collapse. It was Goldman, and also, of course, there was Lehman and Bear Stearns, and it was insider activity with Jeffrey Epstein and Les Wexner and these other guys in Paulson working together, these transnational aardvark actors, which you have Carpet Palantir, you have another one over at Lockheed Martin, you have Larry Ellison over here at Oracle, and these guys are one, Talmudic aardvark transnational Zionist cartel, and then you have Jeff Bezos over at Amazon, who remember Jeff Bezos, the guy that built everything in his garage, not an elite at all. We were all lied to once again. And hey, Sam Altman, Walmart there. You got another one down there that just pops up to the mind, right? Sam Walton is what it is at Walmart there, right? And so you have these guys all working together on this to create this parasitic world that endlessly is doing this subterfuge, dispossessing the possessions of the Goyim and these Goyim nations through all of these massive scams and strategies. Well, hey, that's America. Hey, that's quote unquote Western, right?
So isn't this more representative of the American flag than the actual stars supposedly representing the state's sovereignty and all that? Isn't this actually the reality of the situation? This is what the flag truly represents, is these multinational corporations waging racket wars, as was explained in great detail by Smedley Butler.
I think you probably need to add the Star of Remphan to the flag. The Star of Baal and Remphan.
No, but this is taken, I'm not making this stuff up. This is taken directly from America250.org. These are the corporate sponsors of the propaganda that's going to get us in another foreign war. And they're going to profiteer handsomely off of it. So you could just call it.
And UFC was, of course, purchased by another transnational aardvark Zionist, owns it. And all of the, for quite some time before that, the media people that were around this, organizing all of the deals, doing the all of the star and talent marketing, were again all of these handlers, which again are aardvark media people behind the scenes running all of this. Just like in the independent media, I used to have an aardvark Freemason handler.
Well, Kanye West apologized because he's mentally ill with bipolar, so we need to forget. All aardvarks are good again now. Thomas, you missed that. You didn't get the press release, I don't think.
Yeah, well, when the price is right, the story changes, right? When the price money, when you lost billions, then comes the next contract, and then hey, you're willing to say something, and you have some business to build or fund or something like that, you might be more willing to tighten the lips a little bit. I've said multiple times, hey, I can let the foot off the throat of something, but no one's willing to give me even a $5. None of these people were ever willing to give me even a $5. So I'm still coming on here ready to get into the molecular engineering and unravel all of this, but I'll get Sam banned, you see, so I can't even do it. So I'm censored. Even though I'm not paid for it, I'm still censored.
They want us to also put their young on the YouTube, and the chat says also don't forget the moon and Saturn worship on there. Yeah, that stupid box, that stupid square that these occultists worship. That could be part of it as well, but we're just...
And how they put the Star of Remphan on the top, they insist that there's a Remphan on the top of Saturn, right? How about that?
Okay, so that's your celebration of Veterans Day. War is a racket indeed there now. And so we'll get to more reporting on this whole debacle in South America. But quickly, I want to play this report. There was a mostly peaceful, we're told by this report out of ZBS Bay Area News. There was a Turning Point rally at Berkeley that was disrupted last night by alleged Antifa. Let's watch this report. But it was mostly peaceful, except for the conservative getting beaten. There was a conservative student that got beaten, smoke bombs, and 8 arrests. But besides that, according to ZBS Bay Area, let's watch this report. ZBS Bay Area.
Event. Our Amanda Harry is live on the scene there where protesters also showed up. We've already actually seen at least one fight break out. Amanda.
Yeah, things have been lively here. While that Turning Point USA event is still happening inside, protesters have been out here for hours. You can see them still here behind me. They have been chanting, just a very, very lively scene out here. While things have been mostly peaceful, there have been some tense moments. Earlier this evening, there was a scuffle that broke out where 2 men started fighting. UC Berkeley police had to break up that interaction. Later, someone was throwing smoke bombs and a car backfired, leading some of the people who were protesting to run away. The protest was put together by students organizing for liberation. Some students say they don't believe UC Berkeley should host a large Turning Point USA event like this one, but other people are happy to be here for the event.
Turning Point USA should not be here, and they are like a fascist organization, and nobody here agrees with what they are saying. And obviously Charlie Kirk has been a big issue with like a lot of college campuses and people on college campuses, so we just think like, I mean, obviously I didn't really follow him a lot, but knowing what he did and knowing the things that he was saying, it's just like vile and disgusting. So we don't want to support his organization, and I don't think that the Berkeley chancellor should have let them come here.
Well, it was mostly peaceful there.
The things he says are vile and disgusting. Of course, doesn't point anything out. You notice how that, like, they never have a. It's never a like, for example, this and this and this, right? They never have anything to say. It's just demeaning and right just to ad hominem, and this is set up like these are. On ZBS, half of these people that you see, these fake witnesses, are crisis actors, hired, paid. We want you to come in, and here's their script. This is what you want. We want you to say, and they're never challenged, right? It's just fake witnesses. It's engineering what people think, because they know that people are lemmings, and they're gonna think what the lemming that they were just shown. Oh well, yeah, there's the evidence, so I'm gonna think that too. This is what they're after, right? There's it's zero evidence-based mind control is what it is. Right?
Zero evidence-based here. Here's the Justice Department says they're cracking down now. Oh, Blondie Bondi, I don't know who Epstein is. Antifa is an existential threat to our nation. I don't know about that, but the violent riots at UC Berkeley last night are under full investigation by the FBI-led Joint Terrorism Task Force. We will continue to spare no expense unmasking all who committed and orchestrated acts of political violence. Yeah, so I guess they're going to crack down here, but we can't seem to figure out who Epstein trafficked all these children to. But at least they're cracking down on the Fed creation there, Antifa. I like this one. Grand conspiracy, dare I say, report out of the Daily Mail. Grand conspiracy probe seeks to prove cabal of deep state Democrats led by Obama tried to destroy Trump. We need to get rid of this whole deep state narrative. It's just the government. The Trump appointed federal prosecutor in Miami has launched a probe into a grand conspiracy. I thought that was only a theory by Democrats led by Barack Obama to destroy Trump's political ambitions. In the Miami probe follows up on a far right theory that Obama officials used the quote hoax investigation in an attempt to jail Trump after the 2016 election. Remember the whole Russiagate thing there now, and they're saying 2 dozen subpoenas have been issued to all these your usual suspects: James Clapper, Peter Strzok, Lisa Page. I think anybody that's been paying attention to politics knows all these characters. And so that political theater will continue. And yeah, whoop-de frickin' do. I guess the government can say conspiracy all day, but how dare you and I say conspiracy, and then it can't be. It's a peaceful conspiracy here now, Thomas.
And we still have on fascist book. I started building a page on the fascist book to help to expose.
We lost Thomas. Okay, well, now is the time at the top of the hour to take our live commercial break. Everybody go to weaponizednews.com. Get yourself a holograph sticker, a white background sticker, and the clear background sticker at weaponizednews.com. Give us a subscription, push the like, share, notification button, all that stuff. If it works, go to weaponizednews.com. In the description below this video is our Cash App, our Buy Me a Coffee, donation button at Weaponized News. And we have quite a few items in the Weaponized News store for your patronage that we would appreciate your help as we go into the stretch run of the fourth quarter of 2025. And we have a lot of bills to pay over here to keep this Monday through Friday. Most shows are 2 hours or longer here, all free. And I only give you, a couple minutes of commercial here. And so I think I'm providing quite a service here now with independent reporting and analysis like no one else on the interwebs, interspersed with interesting and informative guests. Go to weaponizednews.com. Give us some support over there. It is truly appreciated. We appreciate all the subscribers. Here is a look at the store. A couple different shirt designs here. Get your cat ID tags, your dog ID tags, any kind of pet ID tags. Taxation stuff shirt. We have some books over there at the store. All these different offerings. Hoodie. You don't hate the government enough hoodie. The trendy baby beanie with Weaponized News graphic on it. Your adult beanies. Your classic black long sleeve shirt with the Weaponized News logo. Many other offerings there at the Weaponized News store. Hopefully we can get Thomas back on the line. But let's play a quick message from our sponsor, and we're back with the second half of Weaponized News.
Running a small business feeling overwhelmed by numbers and paperwork? Abazaba Enterprises has your back. Our expert business solutions include accounting, QuickBooks support, payroll, taxes, and top-notch consulting. Let us handle the details so you can focus on growing your business. Business Solutions Accounting, QuickBooks, Consulting, Payroll, Taxes. Call 559-577-9250. Call Abazaba Enterprises today at 559-577-9250 for stress-free solutions.
And welcome back. It looks like we got Thomas back on the line. Let's let him plug. And by the way, I see Denver there in the chat talking about he's eating well. Well, you're not in solidarity with those starving on SNAP benefits, are you there, Denver? That's not very liberal of you. Let's hear now a commercial message from Thomas.
Yes, Thomas of Alpha Omega Energy, building the world's #1 breakthrough clean energy technology startup. Can't help but notice this week all of these people complaining everywhere about energy, about water from the data centers. Not enough energy. What's America going to do? We need to win the military AI race. And yet still not a single word of any of them funding, supporting, promoting, financing, marketing for sponsoring. Hey, right? All of the agents in the back, they're not doing it either. Putting any of these breakthrough energy innovators in people's faces, supporting them, funding them to bring their technologies right to market. And yet the globalist New World Order in the EU is making new onerous regulation institutions to regulate all of those out of existence instead, to make it so only those from the establishment get support, and anybody not entrenched in the establishment already coming top down, anything not coming top down, gets a score of 1 out of 10 on the new scoring system. I went back, I started exposing that system, went back to try to get it. It's now been totally erased off the internet. You cannot find this anymore. I even emailed the organization that put that out several times. They have not responded at all. I don't have the calling to call their lines internationally, but hey, if people actually want to see, instead of just complaining, you actually want to see real breakthrough energy. I just made 4 new technologies. Sometimes I continue to make it. Make new technology that completely solve everything for energy for humanity, completely in every regard. But the funding is very little, and nobody's funding these small private innovators. That's not what they're doing. Instead, it's yet more hundreds of billions of dollars into yet another scam, fraud. And now he wants a bailout. He wants you, the taxpayer, to be forced to finance his frauds yet once again. So, and then people want to complain about energy and the cost and all of these problems. And then Sam Cheney puts one on the view screen of people, puts it in people's faces. Hey, look, maybe we should support this guy. And the people complain instead. Right? It's really so outrageous and hilarious, but incredibly frustrating at the same time. And people need to start waking up and sell their Google stock, sell their fascist book stock, sell their Oracle stock, sell the stocks of these massive corporations in these 401ks. Because what future are you building? You're literally financing your own prison instead of financing the future of humanity. So those who actually want to finance the future of humanity and get the growth of it, instead of be the exit liquidity, the pump and dump scam sucker of the scam frogments, you can fund a little startup called Alpha Omega Energy, and we will build great things for humanity. Isn't it about time? So that's my extended plug. Thank you, Sam, for that.
Best we can do is prop up our corporate government here now, Thomas.
You can always take some NAD, right? You can take some NAD. Is there any pharma on there? There's Coca-Cola, so you can get your phosphorus from Coca-Cola. As Melinda Haight said, hey, if they let us get Coca-Cola into their countries, they'll definitely they got to let us get the vaccines in, right? And why did she say that? Nobody looks, because Coca-Cola contains phosphoric acid and sugar, 2 of the building blocks to make E. coli, and they just need to add the 3rd one, which you get from all of your other fatty acid foods. If they put the right kind of additional ingredients in there, so the chemistry mix occurs in your body, then they get the inflammation, they get the sticking to your cells, they're causing the autoimmunity, they're causing the cellular damage. And hey, and now all of the kids suddenly have cancer, and we don't know why. Doctors, scientists are trying to figure out why there's a huge rise in childhood cancer, right? Must be from that. Oh, it must be from eating meat, because now they're getting more exposed to more CO2 from eating meat, red meat, right? This is what they're going to pump you instead.
The experts are baffled. Okay, on to what is going on there in Venezuela. We're killing the hell out of people. How many people now? 76 alleged
boats.
Alleged narco traffickers have been killed now by the Trump administration. Extrajudicial assassinations with no charges or trial. Fishermen or drug traffickers, the men caught up in Trump's Venezuelan strikes. And AP actually did a big in-depth report here on it. Trump has accused boat crews of being narco terrorists. The truth, AP found, is more nuanced. And so
shouldn't President Duterte of Philippines get a Nobel Prize for doing that? I mean, he killed thousands of them, what they call tens of thousands, and he gets arrested, extrajudiciously arrested by foreign agencies in his own country. But Trump is a hero and going to get a Nobel Prize for doing this to someone else's country. Wow. Right?
Yeah.
Only 76 of them.
Trump's got the big guns. One was a fisherman struggling to eke out a living on $100 a month Another was a career criminal. A third was a former military cadet. And a fourth was a down on his luck bus driver. The men had little in common beyond their Venezuelan seaside hometowns and the fact that all four were among the more than 60 killed since September when the U.S. military began attacking boats the Trump administration alleges were smuggling drugs. Trump and top U.S. officials have alleged the craft were being operated by narco-terrorists and cartel members bound with deadly drugs for American communities. The identities
They were
of
the non-essential ones. You see, the CIA is the essential. They're not essential, so you can get rid of them. They left and they went independent, so we'll get rid of those.
Let's play the short report from the AP about it.
El bajo y yo quedé allá en la hacienda y el mío de lunes a martes subo bien bueno y no subió más hasta que me va a buscar que había oído que habían explotado un bote y que ahí yo pero en realidad uno no sabe, ¿entiendes? Yo lo que estoy como una confusión grande y viendo una angustia, ¿entiendes? Porque uno no sabe qué es lo que nada, porque uno no puede hablar con nadie, uno no sé nada.
Well, they're drug traffickers. They probably work with Hamas too, Thomas. Let's see.
But definitely don't ask about Haiti's prime minister being assassinated by State Department agents, right? Multiple members of them admitted to the same AP, and AP ran articles that State Department ordered Colombian and Venezuela.
Thomas having an internet issue.
Let's make the story go away after that, right? They were quickly chased after that to shut up about the story anymore.
Here's what we're looking at. And so they've got them on both sides, actually. They're blowing up ships here on the Pacific side and on the Atlantic Caribbean side right here. And this is where the amassment of military assets by the United States federal government is taking place. This is where the aircraft carriers are now docked right off of the coast here, just waiting for the orders to go ahead and take out Maduro, invade. The UK has stopped sharing intelligence with the US on suspected drug smuggling boats in the Caribbean because it believes recent US missile strikes on the vessels, which have killed 76 people, are illegal, according to a report by CNN. So I guess Trump will just say it's fake news. You know what I mean? Oh, man. As the U.S. recalibrates from global hegemony to hemispheric dominance, Venezuela becomes the battleground for an empire in decline, but also for the global South's defiance. And so they have a whole lot of oil and natural gas there in Venezuela, as we continue to report on here now. Venezuela prepares guerrilla-style resistance and chaos plans in case of U.S. attack. According to a report out of Reuters, internal planning documents show Venezuela is arming itself and preparing either guerrilla-style resistance or efforts to create chaos if the United States launches an air or ground assault. The guerrilla campaign, described by the government as prolonged resistance and referenced on state television, would deploy small forces at more than 280 sites to carry out sabotage and other irregular tactics, according to sources and planning papers. A second approach, labeled anarchism, would rely on intelligence agencies and armed supporters of the ruling party to foment street disorder in Caracas and render the country ungovernable for foreign forces, one government source and opposition-linked source said. So they're preparing there for a U.S. invasion. That's a report out of Reuters. Let's watch this report. It's reported on Telesur here now that 200,000 Venezuelan troops mobilized for drills using Russian air defenses as U.S. forces amass in the Caribbean. Venezuela is defended by Bolivian force. Defense Minister Vladimir Padrin Lopez. Let's watch this short report about the preparing for U.S. invasion in Venezuela.
We have deployed most 200,000 soldiers in all the territory for this drill. And I have to say that this is not going to undermine the control on what we are doing in strategic. We are fighting against all threats. The drug trafficking, terrorists, the ones that want to operate are trying to operate in our territory. We are giving a proper answer, and the people from Venezuela has to know that Venezuela is covered, protected, defended by the Bolivarian force.
They're trying
maybe China needs to do a ocean blockade of Taiwan here, of Venezuela, right? Maybe they need to step it up and get something going.
They may. USS Ford aircraft carrier strike group has now arrived, sitting right there off of Venezuela's coast. So imagine that this aircraft carrier group is sitting right there, and they're like, "What the hell, dude?" With all these missiles, bombs, helicopters, on and on, all the artillery of the U.S. military there, quite intimidating, I would say, to say the least. Here is video from Russian state TV, no less, of the world's largest aircraft carrier, Gerald R. Ford. Quite intimidating, I would say. Let's take a look at this short clip of said aircraft carrier. So again, they just parked that.
We don't have. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, again, they parked that right on your doorstep. You're going to be like, damn, I think that maybe we're in a bit of trouble here as they're preparing for invasion in Venezuela. Let's go now to Colombian President Gustavo Petro. Says Epstein's friends want to impose the violence in the South. A pedophile clan wants to end democracy in Colombia and to keep the list from coming out. They send warships to kill our fishermen from the city. The president of Colombia here now. Let's hear from him. He's speaking in Spanish. It's translated into English.
Un clan de pedófilos quiere acabar la democracia en Colombia. Duro, sí. Pero ahí está la realidad. Y para que no salga la lista, entonces nos envían acorazados a matar pescadores de esta ciudad. Y amenazar al vecino, que si dictador o no, ¿cómo que el pueblo de Colombia va a aplaudir que invadan a su hermano, que no es el presidente, sino el pueblo de Venezuela? ¿Cuándo? Seríamos así de traidores y de vendidos, de que nuestra propia sangre la traicionamos, o el pueblo del Ecuador, o el pueblo de Panamá, o el pueblo de Venezuela no es nuestro propio pueblo. Y entonces quieren que el presidente haga lo que quería hacer Duque. Cobarde, prestar las tierras de Colombia para que desde ahí se invadiera a un país hermano que tiene la misma historia que nosotros, porque allá nació Bolívar y vino a morir aquí.
So a century
What
later,
do you mean shares the same history? You mean the Mayans and the Aztecs had just mysteriously vanished into the jungles and nobody knows where they went? Never mind. Of course, in the textbooks, we can look to see another aardvark, Christopher Columbus, hey, the first American, right? Another aardvark, genocidalist with the chemical weapons that shows up and is the right part of the Peruvian national history, 500 years plus old country, twice as old as America. And one of the first things you learn about their history, if you study this country, is that they're defined by their survival against, right, the aardvark-led Spanish, right? You notice how it's always American, not, right, the Zionist, right, control of this in the background. And at that time, it was the same thing, just a different proxy state. At that time, the proxy state was Spain instead of the proxy state currently of the Zog being America. They go in there, they poison all the rivers, they poison everything. They poisoned these people with chemical weapons, with the arsenic and so on, and they were wiped out. And they wiped out so many of these different civilizations, went in, stole all of the gold, walked right into Tenochtitlan, right? This is a mainstream history.
No, it was mostly peaceful. It was mostly peaceful, Thomas.
Killed all these people, and then they run all of this propaganda that, oh, they just magically disappeared. These ancient civilizations, we have no idea what happened to them. Oh, aliens, we don't, right? All run by the CIA, of course, has a different propaganda centers in all of these different countries, including in, right, the Antarctica propaganda headquarters is based out of Lima, Peru. And how about that? So, and of course, Panama is a big part of that. Extrajudiciously just ordered in the night to be annihilated, taken out by Bill Barr, right? Once again, and Trump, interestingly, since taking office, hasn't said a single bleep about Bill Barr ever since. When is that coming? Not a single word about this guy. But of course, Bill Barr has always been instrumental in doing the cover-up of the Epstein crimes and the Clinton crimes and the Bush crimes and everybody else's crimes.
He's part of that crew that the old Colombian president was talking about, the pedophile clan.
Right, and his Dominion energy through the Dominion Spider, right, this old imperialist, colonialist Zog company, and massive. You want to talk about the octopus of Goldman Sachs through absolutely everything. And now it's BlackRock through absolutely, and then Goldman gets nobody looking at Goldman anymore. Now it's BlackRock, but Dominion and Dominion Energy has had the big BlackRock-like spider for hundreds of years, before America even existed. That they had their tentacles of the oil industry and kerosene industries, the Rockefellers through North America. Hundreds of companies and hundreds of shell companies across the Americas and Europe, all through Venezuela and Colombia. And where does Dominion crime machines and Dominion enterprises come from? It was all incubated through that massive Dominion political and energy and financing establishment ecosystem, just like Y Combinator in Silicon Valley, this massive ecosystem. And while they might not be directly owned on the documents on the right, and then they fraudigandize you. Oh, well, there's no relation because there's not directly owned. So if I go into Y Combinator under owner Scam Fraudman, right, who is the director of Y Combinator, endlessly, and we incubate our startup in there. We get financing from them. They introduce us to all of their business partners who all invest and everything else, and we're being educated and partnered up with everybody in there. They're planting all of these different staff into our company. Oh, well, that's no connection. That's no relation. There's no business relationship, right? Just because there's not a direct subsidiary ownership on paper, that's no relation at all. Even though they're in the same building, Dominion Energy, Dominion Resources, Dominion Engineering, Dominion's compound, literally their business towers suburb in the same building with Dominion Enterprises and 20 other Dominion companies in the same tower. No relation, folks. Nothing to see here. No.
Thomas, I believe him because there's no Epstein files as well, and Epstein wasn't trafficking anybody.
But Smartmatic is from Venezuela. It's from some Venezuelan cartel, you see, right? Even though Smartmatic has to use Dominion software by law inside of it, it's from right and Dominion right from America. Hey, forget about that too. AT&T, right? Well, who was on the board of AT&T? Bill Barr. Bill Barr runs AT&T, right? Bill Barr's.
There's no connection there, Thomas. Stop.
NSA and spying.
Stop with it. Stop with your conspiracy. Stop with your grand conspiracy. There's no connections.
Right. Yeah, forget about all the official documents that have come out in the Patriot Act and Snowden revelations and on and on. Way before Snowden, all of this was printed by all of the second line of mainstream media, all of the reporters that work there that are still have any kind of loyalty to America in any regard. Expose this in vast documents again and again. Very easy for people to find online if they look. Though the scam fraud man's fake intelligence might not find that very well for you. It doesn't
look at the documentary, the HBO documentary "Hacking Democracy," and that's like what 20-something years old. It's pretty old, and they're documenting it all way back then. Before it became a conspiracy theory, it was widely known that the elections are. Well, they're selections, not elections. Vote harder, vote harder. This is the most important election of our life, Thomas. Okay, so our celebration of the government shutdown's almost over. Day 42 here now. Yesterday, the Senate passed a bill to end the government shutdown, or maybe it was 2 days ago here now. But it's going on to the House, and it's going back. Well, it may not open. People are saying it may not open. I think they're going to open it. But the problem is that it's only going to fund the government for like another 2 months. And in the beginning of 2026, they're going to have to do another continuing resolution to keep this farce going instead of actually passing a budget. And so they're going to just keep doing this. And so people are saying that they may open the government briefly here for a couple months. And then we're looking at a possible another shutdown in another couple months. And so
hey, tomorrow's news today, once again on Weaponized News, I will predict that someone even suggests a new permanent income tax of some kind on the American working public, a permanent irrevocable tax to support Israel as a means to keep the government continuously open so we don't have these shutdowns anymore. Literally, I predict that that's going to come. Now, that might sound surprising, but people should be watching for that, of what's going to happen.
I propose an aardvark tax directly, and we just have it directly deposited in our shadow president, Bibi Netanyahu's bank account. And they can directly deduct it from your paycheck and just have a little line item on there that says, I love aardvarks. And then you can have it directly deposited over there to our loving leader, Mr. Genocide Bibi, and so that'll all be.
And then the big YouTube exposure group, independent media on the hardcore radical left called More Perfect Union, that is doing a decent quality. If you can stomach the massive left wing spin and twist that they do. Then they can have even more material to spin away from any aardvark involvement at all. Wouldn't that be a nice twist once again?
More reporting on the government shutdown. Newsweek tells us Republicans face Jeffrey Epstein reckoning as end of shutdown looms. Let's go take a look at this report. So we also have this to deal with still. I lost the Epstein files and it's a Democrat hoax, but turns out, well, the longest government shutdown in U.S. history nearing the end, Republicans are set to face another reckoning on Jeffrey Epstein as a petition to force a vote to compel the release of the government's files on Epstein garners the needed support. Trump administration has faced scrutiny from both critics and supporters since the FBI and DOJ abruptly announced in July that it would not be releasing any additional records from the sex trafficking investigation into Epstein, saying in a memo there was no evidence that Epstein maintained a quote client list and that no further disclosure would be appropriate or warranted. Authorities have said Epstein died by suicide. Of course he did. Epstein didn't kill himself, but we know, according to DOJ and Kash Patel, I can't look straight. I'm cross-eyed that indeed Epstein did kill himself. And so in defiance of party leadership, Republican Representative Thomas Massie began gathering signatures on a petition to force a vote for the release of the Justice Department's files on the investigation into Epstein. And so that is all going to come to a head in our political theater if the government ever goes back to work and opens up again. So we have that to look forward to, at least something.
And part of the deal there, the headline tag on that article was the GOP senators are seeking the taxpayers to be billed an extra $500,000 for the fraudulent ordeal that the Democrats put them through for the January 6th, lying that they were involved in some insurrection and overthrow and coup of the government, which they're still lying that to this very day, instead of them having their assets seized, being subject to civil asset forfeiture for treason and the crimes that they committed in lying through their face and deliberately orchestrating a blatant criminal conspiracy. Instead of them having to pay anything and be charged any of that. No. It's the taxpayers that are going to get charged. Well, thank you, GOP. Well, thank you, GOP. So wonderful and kind of you. Thanks for representing us.
There are representatives. Yeah. I mean, they put the country through a nationwide manhunt and dragnet. Just despicable what they did to these J6ers. And then now you taxpayers, you and I, and J6ers get to fit the bill. So that is great representation by the Republicans.
And no money, no word of any money going to the actual J6 victims, the people who are locked in prisons for 4 or 5 years.
Well, they're lucky they didn't commit suicide or die in that prison, which is what the government wanted.
But vote harder for the GOP, for the rhinos. Vote harder for them. Hey, they'll be happy. They'll get an extra $500,000.
They're very conservative. Yeah, Carrie, I played that clip yesterday. Did anyone see the MP in the Knesset? Yeah, I saw that yesterday. It was, quite a clip. Sorry about the headline was messed up yesterday, but that was in the headline because it was okay. Onto the economy here now. Thomas, as we got like 30 minutes left and a lot of reporting, we may have to go a little bit over today. Trump says 600,000 Chinese students coming to the U.S. is a pro-MAGA stance. Let's watch this in an interview on the War Channel Fox News with Laura Ingraham, where she did push back quite a bit because she still puts on the front, and she may very well be America first, but turns out Trump not so much. But you got to, he's playing that chess that we just don't understand, Thomas, is the big problem here. There's internet riddles that we haven't solved. And if we solve these internet riddles, then we would understand the true Trump agenda. It's just we're not on that level.
Folks are not thrilled about this idea of hundreds of thousands of foreign students in the United States. We have about 350,000 Chinese. One point during COVID, you were going to, push to, get them out, but that was pulled back. You've said as many as 600,000 Chinese students could come to the United States. Why, sir, is that a pro-MAGA position when so many American kids want to go to school and there are places not for them and these universities are getting rich off Chinese money?
Sure. Never said about China, but we do have a lot of people coming in from China. We always have China and other countries. We also have a massive system of colleges and universities. And if we were to cut that in half, which perhaps makes some people happy, you would have half the colleges in the United States go out of business.
So what?
Well, I think it's a big deal.
Are they fans?
You would have the
fans of the United
historically
States?
So Trump's saying Chinese students are propping up U.S. universities, and somehow it's legitimate to let them in here. But I'm big pro against migration here, illegal immigration. I guess they're going to be legal, but that seems like quite a few potential spies, and we've just seen these arrests of, quote, scientific researchers at Michigan University smuggling in biological agents that the government says are going to be used to take out American agriculture. But what the hell? Yeah, let 600,000 Chinese students in here, or half the universities in America will fail. Thomas, what do you think about this idea from Trump MAGA, America First?
Yeah, it's a two-sided head of the coin that the intelligence agencies play. They want the students to be able to come into their center so that they can indoctrinate the hell out of them. So when they're sent back to China, they become, loyal agents, leaking information.
Maybe they'll become double agents or something like this. Yeah.
Right. Or those who are actually students will then become agents for them. And that's just, they do that here in Cambodia. I made a Shark Tank promotion, a Shark Tank TV show, Shark Tank promotion, started organizing this when we first got a little bit of funding, our first deposit slice of funding a long time ago. I thought, okay, I'm tired of these NGOs, 3,200 NGOs, these fake packed hubs and these fake accelerators, fake incubators, bullcrap, all just like stealing the NGO money, embezzling this, and not even a single promotion platform for any startups in the history of the country, not a single deal. So I went and made a Shark Tank inside of a tech hub, and it turned out that was in something called the Asia Foundation, which I had no idea what the hell that was. I had no idea at the time that was literally the CIA, their official, all over the internet official, a main Asian front organization. And here I was walking in the door and building a Shark Tank promotion in there for the startups and whatnot. And it was building a website, and we would take the videos of them pitching and upload it on there. And they run this center, these tech hubs, for the purpose of indoctrinating these people, finding these coders that can then spy for them and will be loyal to them and whatnot politically. And then they give them out free USB devices and laptops and everything that are all compromised. And they go off into the companies and the governments and the banks and everywhere else, and they can get total control over all of their networks and et cetera. And they generate spies. They generate future employees and staff and pay them to do that as well. And most people, hey, they're not going to get that high salary somewhere else. So they become compromised, just like the influencers are compromised and the media people are compromised. They compromise all these coders to do their dirty work for them as well. And I was literally inside of a center, and my Shark Tank TV show was given the cut. I was told by a crying manager from the Netherlands that your show's getting cut, Thomas, because they don't like the way you talk, right? I expose corruption. I don't like it. So it was canceled for that purpose. And it was actually maybe a year and a half later before I even found out that that's actually the CIA. I thought that was all a internet conspiracy theory, like they say on fascist book. But here it turns out it's public information. I didn't know. And how about that? And it turns out that almost everything is over here in a country like that. So they're doing the same thing in America. They want to bring these people in, indoctrinate, pay them, bribe them, sift amongst the best of those programs, send them out internationally all over the place and back to China, and then compromise networks, gather intelligence and whatnot. Hey, well, Larry Ellison in Palantir and these other companies running their, who else is going to code up everything? We need all these Chinese to code them up, right? So that Larry Ellison can watch you on the toilet, right? Record you. As he said, he's going to record you 24 hours a day. You won't be able to turn it off when you're in your skivvies at night with your boyfriend or something. If you're scam fraudman, I guess you'll be like Mark Zuckerberg with a cover on your computer all the time. But they'll have every computer, right? They'll have every computer in the office, so that won't be good enough. They'll have your security cameras. They'll have everything. Yeah, they'll have it all. As Ellison keeps bragging, and then Palantir can extrajudiciously send the drones, as Alex Karp was bragging about. And thank God for Michael Burry to short his company.
We have more reporting. We have some reporting on that here, Thomas. Let me get through this economic block. The next, the propaganda term of the week that they're rolling out here, trying to convince us that there is no inflation and it's stabilized, is affordability. In the last week, the term affordability has been mentioned on the War Channel, Fox News, 240 times. And so this is the new propaganda term to convince us that our standard of living is not going down and everything is wonderful in the golden age of Trump economy. Here's the Treasury Secretary using said terminology, affordability.
We inherited an affordability crisis. We have slowed the price increases.
See, it's Biden's fault, and this happens every administration. Oh, the economy's shit. Well, it was the last guy. Okay, well, yeah, we know the economy's very complicated, sophisticated. It takes a while to wind out, wind down, run things through it. And so you could see why, yeah, we can blame the last guy, but it's the same routine we always hear in the golden age here now.
Yeah, they did inherit a inflation crisis, of course.
But caused by Operation Warp Speed shutting down the economy, killing the supply chains, and then pumping a bunch of money into the bailouts of the bats, essentially, is what we got out of the whole lockdown deal. So they got us double, right? No, too much funds chasing too little supplies, essentially, is what they did here now.
Not enough funds going into manufacturing and small and medium business.
Malinvestment. It was malinvestment as well, because
there's way too little funds going into the proper places where it should be.
Malinvestment.
They know that, and they're deliberately doing it on purpose.
Sold. Let's see.
How cheap would energy be if they printed a whole, $500 billion like Scam Fraudman is doing, and funded to Alpha Omega Energy and even conditioned? Okay, we're going to get rid of all of the National Secrecy Act on technology. We're going to eliminate all of that. We're going to open up the technology as all the QAnons lie through their faces is going to happen. We're going to relocate Alpha Omega Energy back to America, give them free reign to make whatever technology they want here, give them the $500 billion and solve the energy problem and collapse the energy prices once and for all. Then we have an affordability, crisis on the hands of the Rockefellers, but they're not going to do that. So, vote harder on your selections machines. Thank you very much. Sorry.
Here's more on that. This story goes with that short by Burry on Palantir. Look at this. SoftBank sells its entire stake in NVIDIA. And so NVIDIA, of course, providing the chips for Palantir and the rest of it, providing the hardware for the software, for the AI, and for the AI tech bubble, that is. And so this is another sign, along with the Burry short of Palantir stock, NVIDIA selling off SoftBank selling off entire stake in NVIDIA, $5.83 billion. So it looks like maybe possibly there is a AI big tech bubble here getting ready to burst.
And to put this in perspective, NVIDIA is worth almost 2 times what the entire
over $5 trillion market cap. Yeah.
Almost 2 times what all of the entire Bitcoin market cap is worth.
They're actually producing
worldwide
something.
Bitcoin economy.
But they are actually producing something of value, these high powered microchips, right? And so
they are.
It's not just speculation. They are actually producing something.
Right. There is huge demand for their products. They're very real products and services, which are very high technology and very hard to make.
Yes. But this speaks to the AI bubble. Well, Trump, we're in the golden age. Trump tells us best economy ever. It turns out nationwide gas prices, according to AAA here now, let me put it on the website, have gone down 1 cent nationwide compared to prices at this time last year. So there you go. You know what I mean? 1 cent, winning, hashtag winning. That's not even keeping up with the pace of inflation. Who cares? MAGA, winning, golden age, greatest economy ever. Last report here on the economy.
Oil prices have come down by 50%.
Last report on the economy, and then we'll move on to geopolitics and aardvark genociding. Switzerland may secure a deal with the U.S. this week to cut tariffs on Swiss goods from 39% to 15%, pending Trump's approval, according to a report out of Reuters. And so the rest of the world's trying to unwind all of these crazy tariffs laid down by Trump and come up with some deal. And most of it is all smoke and beers and hype. Okay, on to, we were promised during Trump's run here now for 47th administration that Jared Kushner was not going to be part of the administration. We're promised up and down. He's moved on. He has other business interests. Turns out now Jared Kushner is essentially running foreign policy there in, much of our foreign policy in aardvark land, the rebuilding of it, standing to profit handsomely. He's a war profiteer. He's evil. He's an occultist. He's an aardvark. And so go ahead and kiss that star or the wall or whatever fits your, whatever fits the bill for you to worship aardvarks today. I'm sure they got it all sorted out. Hundreds demonstrate against Trump's son-in-law in a project in Belgrade. And so it's not only aardvark land. He's messing around over there in Belgrade as well. Hundreds protest today against a plan to tear down a former army headquarters in the Serbian capital, Belgrade, to make way for luxury hotel complex. A project linked to Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner. And so the student-led demonstration came 4 days after Parliament backed a special law classifying the redevelopment of the bombed-out Yugoslav army headquarters as an urgent project, speeding up the process of getting permits. The plan by Kushner, of course, we know that, married to Trump's daughter, and blah, blah, we know all that. He was a former senior advisor, and we were promised by Trump he would not be part of this administration. Lies made and lies capped there by the Trump administration. It is sensitive building, was hit during U.S.-led NATO strikes to end the 1998-99 Kosovo war, allegedly. And so they want to keep this as a war memorial. And again, getting rid of the evidence, right? We got to clear all this evidence out, erase the history. NATO's good, U.S. good, and build a Kushner hotel there now, and get rid of their country's history and the remembering of the bombing there by U.S. and NATO on Kosovo. And so we have to erase that for a Trump hotel. Now, Thomas, don't you think that's appropriate?
Yeah, well, I think it's more appropriate how they are frauding again the American consumer in the whole world to think that just magically Jared Kushner instantly gets a phone call as soon as the government, for unknown reasons, removes the cultural heritage of the building that they've had as a cultural heritage for like 50 plus years. As a country national cultural heritage site, like a UNESCO protected site, and all of a sudden they decide to just get rid of it, and right away Kushner swoops in for a 99-year lease, like as if that wasn't prearranged, right? But of course they don't report on any. They don't even question it at the aardvark media, and why would they, right? How about that? As long as you get 1 cent off your gas prices when oil has been gone down more than 50%, I guess you'll be happy, right? 1 cent for you.
We have more. We have more on Kushner here, but let me get through this little bit of geopolitical news from around the world. South Korea's president tells police and civil officials that hate speech and misinformation spread on social media must be considered a quote, crime that goes beyond the limits of freedom of expression and must be severely punished as it, quote, is a threat to democracy. And so that is, yeah,
Free
that's
speech
our,
is a threat to democracy. Literally.
that's
Wow.
the great democracy there of North Korea. No, it's actually South Korea. So yeah. EU to set up intelligence unit under Ursula von der Leyen body to collate material from national agencies and improve its operational use. They don't have enough spies there in Europe, apparently. German investigators say Ukrainian military unit carried out Nord Stream bombing, but we know Putin bombed his own pipeline because he's the most evil man in the world that's making horrific strategic errors during this unprovoked invasion of Ukraine.
Wait a second. You mean Putin didn't have a double indemnity for an airplane flying into his pipeline? He didn't have that?
German investigators, they're a bunch of Nazis, obviously, say Ukraine military carried out Nord Stream bombing. Yeah, what the hell do they know? They're a bunch of Nazis anyway. Everybody knows it was Putin because our media told us it was Putin.
Yeah,
right?
He got all those billions. Remember that? But wait. No, it didn't happen. Only Zelensky got billions in African casinos for some reason. Now he owns African casinos. How about that?
Moldova is negotiating with Russia's Lukoil to buy its fuel infrastructure at Shinizwa Airport after U.S. sanctions forced Lukoil to halt operations by November 21st, according to a report out of Reuters. So maybe these sanctions are having some grip. Here is Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov telling us exactly what is needed to end the unprovoked war before Putin takes over all of Europe and then the rest of the world. And they tell us exactly what is needed here now to stop the war, and we'll ignore it and act like, well, Putin's trying to take over the world, obviously, because he's the most evil man in the world. We don't have English translation, so I'll just read you. He's quoted here again, and they've said, when you put a legitimate head of state in Ukraine, then we can sit down and sign some paperwork that says it's a peace deal. But until then, we don't recognize Zelensky as the democratically elected president of Ukraine because he's not. So that is dead on arrival. And they're also demanding, I know the evil Russians, the demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine are mandatory conditions for resolving the conflict, according to Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov. So they're telling us exactly what their terms are. We'll ignore it and still say Putin bad. Germany's Merz wants Syrian refugees to go home. And so under pressure from, quote, far right, this is an article out of Politico, they can just never say, the right wing or the actual name. It's the far right in Germany, the Nazis. Maybe, no, they're far left. It doesn't matter. Germany's chancellor says his country will begin repatriating Syrians back now that we have the Western intelligence asset as the head of Syria. And then, of course, here you go. You're going to love this one, Thomas. Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara received a blessing in Washington from Rabbi Yusuf Hamara and a leader of Syrian Aardvark heritage. And so here is the image of them shaking hands. And so what any good head chopping jihadist would do is be getting a blessing from this rabbi, Thomas. So it seems that he was very sincere in his jihadist crusade. It's just unbelievable, right? Oh, wait.
Well, I guess, they're both genociding Christians in Syria, but
how come Al-Qaeda, Thomas, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, the radical jihadist terrorists, now we have to fight the never-ending war on terror, and we have to fight them over there, they're coming here, or we're going to be attacked just like September 11th. How come they never attack the Aardvarks? You know what I mean? How come that never happens? You have Hezbollah, a spin-off.
They're everywhere. They're everywhere, and they never get attacked.
They're everywhere. They never get attacked by Al-Qaeda and ISIS. That we have to, and so that's internet riddle.
Thousands of churches burned. yet no synagogues burning.
That's an internet riddle that needs to be solved here. I think we know the answer, but now he's being blessed by rabbis there. Former Iraq, Syrian head of ISIS Al-Qaeda. So, hey, I don't know. You tell me what's really going on here.
A
Now,
lot of strange bedfellows partnerships over there. These so-called Abraham Accords and all the rest of this. I mean, what the hell?
here is aforementioned Palantir CEO Karp says he spends a lot of time talking to Nazis. Well, he is a Nazi, so probably talking to himself a lot. But let's hear this short clip.
And all his supremacist friends.
To this and deep appreciation for the German culture. I think one of the craziest things is, this whole thing online where people like laud the Nazis. Like, I spent a lot of time talking to Nazis, like real Nazis, and like understanding what made them tick and what made them. I mean, part of the crazy thing about people who laud the Nazis nowadays is there's not a single Nazi that would ever have included them in their movement and would have shipped them off to the camps quicker maybe than they shipped me off to the camps. And it's like
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that either.
And what Nazis is he supposedly talking to these days? You notice how that's left out.
Well, obviously the brigades there in Ukraine. You know what I mean? I don't know what Operation Paperclip. The Nazis still running the U.S. intelligence agency. I think that's probably who he's talking about. Here's Fetterman. We thought Fetterman was based for a minute when he had the lump on his neck. We don't even know if this is the real Fetterman, a replacement, a clone, a robot, a hologram, a guy wearing a mask. We just don't know. But Fetterman is not based anymore because he says that Democrats should show more devotion to Aardvark land. I couldn't agree more. Let's hear from Fetterman, formerly based with a tumor on his neck, a reformed Democrat, now looking for Aardvark support.
My heart breaks for what the Jewish communities suffered, especially after 10/7. I've had the honor of meeting, members of the hostages, former people that were kept underground for 500 days. I mean, those are heroes. I've met with widows. Their husbands were lost in the Gaza war, and they have 8 children, raising 8 children by their own. That's a hero for all of it. So for me, it's heartbreaking. And that's been what's so difficult for me is like being devotion to Israel becoming increasingly incompatible with being a proud Democrat now too. And that's put me at odds. And the things that put me at odds have all converged at the same time. The Gaza war, the peace deal, and then we moved right into a shutdown. Like now Democrats might not be allowed to hold these views. My heart breaks.
It's sad that John Fetterman is now going to go independent, apparently, because he's not going to be wanted with those views in the Democrat Party going forward. Very sad. The pair behind Track APAC, everybody should go follow them on the X because they troll the hell out of these corrupt politicians with their pro-Aardvark propaganda and post the meme of how much money they've received from said Aardvark lobby, APAC the main one, but others as well. And so they've been exposed by APAC. They've been doxxed, and they've come out here publicly now, not afraid to show their face on this mainstream. I think these guys are out of the Hill breaking points. But anyway, here they are. APAC Tracker, a great account on X, putting all these corrupt politicians on blast with the facts of how much money they're receiving from the Aardvark lobby. Anyway, here they are with the classic watermelon, of course, for Free Palestine. They're a bunch of Hamas supporting terrorists, obviously, by exposing corrupt U.S. politicians. They're at APAC or at Track APAC. A great follow on the X if you enjoy politicians being destroyed in lifetime on the X and exposing their pro-Aardvark propaganda. A new and Aardvark military intelligence officer lived at Jeffrey Epstein's home in Manhattan on multiple occasions, including while he was an aide to then Aardvark Defense Minister Edmund Brock. Yanni Koren was a senior Amman officer with decades of experience in the aardvark security establishment and stayed at Epstein's home. Emails show Epstein wired Corinne money while Corinne acted as an intermediary between aardvark land and U.S. intelligence. And that's a report out of Drop Site. And they have the emails. And so what the hell? It never even existed. It's all a hoax there, Thomas. And then we have this. The U.S. has to spend trillions on wars to make the Middle East, to remake the Middle East so it's safe for aardvark land, but New Yorkers can't get rent subsidies. That's a post by Chris Meehan at Information Liberation in reply to, let's hear everybody's favorite aardvark and great American patriot, Ben Shapiro.
If you're a young person and you can't afford to live here, then maybe you should not live here. I mean, that is a real thing. Yeah, I know that we've now grown up in a society that says that you deserve to live where you grew up, but the reality is that the history of America is almost literally the opposite of that. The history of America is you go to a place where there is opportunity. And if the opportunities are limited here and they're not changing, then you really should try to think about other places where you have better.
Should give all your money to aardvarks right now. Have you followed this any, Thomas, this scandal? Cash Patel's girlfriend files frivolous $5 million lawsuit against MAGA influencers for insinuating that she's a Mossad honeypot. And so now the FBI director, Patel, has filed a lawsuit against Elijah Schaffer for criticizing aardvark influence over Trump and the FBI. Have you seen any of this scandal? No? Well, that's going on.
Not really, but it's not surprising because lawfare is their tactic every single time. Who would be surprised? They go to lawfare immediately and let the victims of it sort it out, right? Because hey, free speech is the threat to democracy.
Well, as long as the government is paying the government lawyers, they have nothing to worry about, and you're on your own to fight, the federal government, the crime syndicate. Here is, I don't know, you tell me, is Cash Patel girlfriend a aardvark honeypot? You tell me. You tell me. There she is on his arm in the red dress. I don't know, man. You tell me. Don't sue me, bro. Trump has promised peace for Gaza. Private documents paint a grim picture. Report out of Politico. Maybe they should look at the foreign press at Politico, and they too could cover every day the genocide continuing here instead of trying to do these backhanded Trump smear pieces. Essentially, you don't even have to do that. You can report the facts, but Politico's still getting there. Maybe someday, some way. They'll just report the facts here. How is the transition going? And so how is the transition going from phase 1 to phase 2, a cessation of military operations? Well, we have reports of heavy artillery fire into southern Gaza today, as we do every day and have had every day since the, quote, ceasefire went into effect, phase 1 at least. IDF withdrawal, yellow line. Well, you cross that yellow line, they whack you. Hostage return, they're working on that. Prisoner release, they're working on that. Humanitarian surge, that's not happening. There's still a siege going on there, blocking clean water, food, healthcare, medicine, energy. And so what is an ISF? And in phase 2, Hamas disarmament, that's just simply not going to happen, and they knew that, and so that's a dead deal. IDF withdrawal to the perimeter, that has happened in most cases, but they're still doing limited operations in the West Bank. I guess that's not part of Gaza, but they are doing operations in Gaza still as well. Transitional Palestinian governance, well, just put Jared Kushner as the head of it. Oversight by Board of Peace, Palestinian Authority reform, and economic development. Yeah, that's where we're getting into real problems here. They already violated aardvarks violated phase 1 with not ceasing military operations. So we'll get to that in the rest of this reporting. Yemeni armed forces announced that it has halted attacks on aardvark-linked ships shipping tankers in the Red Sea. A message from the chief of the General Staff of Yemeni Armed Forces. Praise be to God who honored us with jihad and emboldened us with martyrdom. Peace and blessings upon the leaders and the martyrs and the imam of the Mujahideen and upon his pure and noble family, our heroic brothers in the General Staff of the Qassam Brigades, the Mujahideen. And so they say they're going to stop whacking these boats that go by there because I guess they're happy with the, quote, ceasefire. But then again, we see reports out of aardvark land in Gaza, heavy artillery shelling targeting Kin Yunis south of the Gaza Strip, reported today. Aardvark lawmakers backed bill to let government close foreign media without court oversight. The Aardvark Knesset yesterday advanced a bill granting the government authority to shut down foreign media outlets without judicial approval, according to a report out of the Haaretz over there. And so that is the only democracy, we're told, in West Asia, and that's why we must
remember when they just bombed them. I mean, they just bombed the Al Jazeera office.
They've lost 250 plus journalists have been killed by aardvarks.
In fact, they bombed the entire residential building that the Al Jazeera office was at the top of. They just bombed the entire building full of people, didn't even announce anything.
They whacked AP and Reuters reporters, said they're Hamas as well. Over 250 reporters since October 7th have been killed by aardvarks, all alleged to be Hamas terrorists.
Well, we can't have that free speech. That's a threat to democracy, you see. You gotta...
As South Korea has told us as well there. So we do support Western democracies by via censorship. Gaza Health Ministry reported 3 dead. You tell me. I guess there's a ceasefire going on. 3 dead today. In the past 24 hours, 3 dead, 1 injured. And so that's aardvark land ceasefire stacking the bodies still. According to Gaza Health Ministry, 6,000 registered amputation cases at the Ministry of Health require urgent long-term rehabilitation programs. Children account for 25% of all amputation cases there in Gaza, while women make up 12.7%. A shortage of medical resources and adhesive devices is worsening the suffering of the wounded and amputees. These figures reflect the profound humanitarian suffering experienced by thousands of injured people and their families, highlighting the urgent need for rehabilitation as well as psychological and social support, especially for children who now face permanent disability at a young age. The Palestinian Center for Human Rights has documented what is described as one of the most horrendous war crimes that can be committed against human beings and their dignity, revealing systemic sexual torture and rape of Palestinian detainees from Gaza in aardvark prison detention camps, as we have reported since this story broke like a year and a half ago. Now it's coming back around with as we reported, insiders, their whistleblowers, the aardvark army lawyer blew the whistle. She couldn't take it. And so more than 100 testimonies of said prison rapes have been compiled here. Now, it's just all Hamas propaganda, apparently, is what we're told. Kushner, back to Kushner. We were told he was not going to be part of the Trump administration. But it turns out Kushner is a very big part of U.S. foreign policy in West Asia. You voted for this, MAGA? Apparently you love it. Kushner asked aardvark land to allow the trap fighters in Rafah to move to Hamas-controlled areas in Gaza. Kushner said that the fighters will surrender their weapons as part of making the Gaza Strip a demilitarized zone, as there's 200 some odd Hamas fighters trapped in tunnels now, and they're waiting for them to die, essentially. Bibi and Kushner have reached an agreement to deport the 200 Hamas fighters trapped in the tunnels under Rafah. The settlement stipulates that Aardvark land allow the militants to be deported safely. And so he's right there setting U.S. foreign policy. How any of this is even our business, but Trump and Kushner have made it our business. And so now we're tied to the genocide. Thank you very much, Trump. Bibi and Kushner clarified that the reconstruction of Gaza will not take place before Hamas is disarmed. So we appreciate Kushner. They're dictating U.S. foreign policy. What else do we got? More on Kushner. Kushner's meeting with Aardvark-backed militia leaders now as well. Who knew he was a U.S. Army commander? But apparently he is. So according to Al Arabiya, Aardvark-backed militia leader Rafa Yasser Abu Shabat met with Jared Kushner at the U.S. Military Command Center there in Kiryat Gat, where they discussed the role of his militia forces in areas vacated by Hamas and in securing the withdrawal of Hamas fighters from the Rafah tunnels. And so we do appreciate unelected who asked for this guy, Jared Kushner, over there negotiating peace deals in America's name. It's quite a sight to behold. Aardvark Media report that Aardvark Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer, one of Netanyahu's closest confidants, officially resigned from the government. And so maybe they're trying to distance themselves, apparently here now, from the Bibi government as the genocide and war crimes are laid bare. New documentary broadcast on ITV describes Aardvark land campaign of widespread and limitless violence, in breaking ranks inside Aardvark land's war. Aardvark land soldiers admit to free-for-all campaign in Gaza, which saw unprovoked violence targeting Palestinians, including the use of human shields and the complete dissolution of the rule of law. Aardvark soldiers describe what is known as the, quote, mosquito protocol, which entailed sending a human shield underground, and as he walks down the tunnel, he maps it for you. He has an iPhone in his vest, and as he walks, it sends back GPS information. And Aardvark soldier says the commander saw how it works, and the practice spread like wildfire. After about a week, every company was operating its own mosquito. The Aardvark tank commander, only identified as Daniel, admits that there was no such thing as an innocent in Gaza. In another chilling admission, the makers of the documentary spoke to a contractor who worked at food distribution sites run by the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, who says he witnessed members of the Aardvark Land Army killing unarmed Palestinians. U.S. eyes massive military base on Gaza border. So essentially they're in Gaza, as is the headline, U.S. military base in Gaza. The U.S. is reportedly weighing plans to build a sprawling military base along Aardvark Land's border with Gaza. Shomrim revealed today, a project said to accommodate thousands of American troops under the pretext of future stabilization efforts. Aardvark Land Army sources told the outlet they were unaware of such a proposal, suggesting the idea may be political theater or a quiet deal struck by Bibi without military consultation, a move not uncommon in his handling of sensitive issues. According to the report, the base would allow Washington to tighten its grip on developments in Gaza and reduce resilience on aardvark coordination when managing contacts with Hamas, Egypt, and the Palestinian Authority. The only confirmed U.S. installation so far is the newly opened Civilian Military Coordination Center there in Kiryat Gat, a modest hub of a few hundred personnel tasked with overseeing humanitarian and military coordination in Gaza. So, proposal for a new, I think they'll build it. I don't know. Maybe they won't. More reports here out of anti-war says that U.S. to build $500 million military base there in Aardvark land on Gaza border. So it's being widely reported here. Again, it is just speculation at this point, but I wouldn't doubt it if they do build a giant military base right there and then say, well, you know, they shot a missile at us. It was Hezbollah. It was Houthis. It was whoever. We got to attack Iran some more, or whoever the hell else, because we have this real estate redevelopment program to complete. The Greater Aardvark Land Project is still very much in play. U.S. to establish large military base on Gaza border. Aardvark Land is carrying out demolition operations in residential buildings east of Gaza City. What else do we got? A little bit more here. Aardvark Land builds new border wall as tensions with Lebanon escalate. And so they're consistently, since the November ceasefire with Lebanon, that's a year-old ceasefire. They violated over 200 times. They're bombing the hell out of southern Lebanon as we speak, and they're erecting a border wall there in preparation for a larger invasion of Lebanon, essentially. Lebanese civil defense, and they've caused this massive fire as well. There, I believe we have video of it from Hezbollah, and the whole preface of all these attacks on Lebanon is we got to get the terrorist Hezbollah, of course, proxy terrorist of Iran, we're told. And so from Hezbollah Secretary General, they say disarm Hezbollah and we'll have peace there with you, Lebanon. Hezbollah Secretary General Namid Qasim said on his speech on the anniversary of Martyrs' Day, what America demands from Lebanon are orders enforced through aardvark pressure, and its interference in our internal affairs is rejected. Tom Barak openly stated that he wants to arm the Lebanese army to confront its resisting people. How can the government accept this? Hezbollah affirms that the ceasefire agreement concerns only south of the Litany River, and Aardvark Land must withdraw from Lebanon and release the prisoners. If the South continues to bleed, the bleeding will extend to all of Lebanon due to Merca and Aardvark Land. There is no replacement for the agreement and no absolution for the occupation through a new deal. The agreement must first be implemented, after which all options are open for internal discussion on Lebanon's strength and sovereignty with no external interference. The continuation of aggression cannot last, for everything has its limit. We will not withdraw from the field. We will defend with all the strength we have. That's from Hezbollah. According to local sources there in Aardvark Land, Aardvark forces penetrate the villages of Al-Musharfa and Samadanya Al-Gabrala. Excuse me with my Arabic pronunciation is not very good there. And that's in the countryside of Syria. So now you've got on and off in Iraq, on and off in Syria, pretty much full speed ahead in southern Lebanon. We know full speed ahead in Gaza and the West Bank genocide, ethnic cleansing programs for, again, the Greater Aardvark Land Project, taking all of that land. We see it going forward like gangbusters. Fires are raging in southern Lebanon, again, as Aardvark Land's war on Lebanon's agriculture, and we see the same thing in the West Bank. Heritage continues to devastate daily life across the south of Lebanon. Let's watch this report from the Cradle. And this is now the tactic to destroy any agricultural production that these people have, as well as just outright shoot them in the face.
يا شباب حرشة كاسين الله أكبر.
And remember, we reported on, we're still waiting for the test results. It's suspected they may be using depleted uranium there in southern Lebanon. That is the Aardvarks. And we're waiting to see what the results of a test on the soil there are. So that's another war crime they're doing. Over 100 settlers.
I'm sure our commenter on YouTube, Deaf Tears, a symbol at Deaf Tears, is calling us climate deniers. I'm sure he's so happy about the contribution that these aardvarks are causing to climate. They're bombing and burning the hell out of all of these forests because, as Bill Gates said, hey, forests are bad. We need to chop them all down to save the climate.
I don't deny there's a climate.
It's all fake, and I'm out because there's no money for me. They cut my funding, so I'm out, and climate's fake. So now Bill Gates has recanted. So I don't see Deaf Tears criticizing Bill Gates for his climate denial. Where's your criticism of Bill Gates becoming a climate denialist, Mr. Deaf Tears?
More on the genocide in Greater Aardvark Land Project. Over 100 settlers. Well, let's watch the report here. Another one out of the Cradle. Over 100 settlers on November 11th, today, after setting fire to a native Palestinian lands. Over 100 Aardvark settlers set fire to a property in Bodine, Palestine, in the northeast occupied West Bank. The damage, including the loss of personal vehicles, numerous commercial trucks, immense damage to at least one local factory, and other material lost. The United Nations has registered at least 3,000 attacks since 2023 against Palestinians by Aardvark settlers in the occupied West Bank. Wow. Ultra-Zionist, quote, settlers are homicidal maniacs, actually.
يا حول الله مصنع الجنادي بيت ليد يا حول الله لا ينتهي منهم
مصنع الجنيد يا شباب ولعوه شباب، ما حدا يفوت على المصنع بلاش شيء يفكح. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله.
What do we got? Well, and then they say, oh, well, there's no greater aardvark land. That's just a conspiracy.
Well, that video was hate speech, so we need to take it off of TikTok. Oh, we need to sell TikTok to Larry Ellison because too many of those kind of videos reporting on the ground is that's a threat to democracy. So we can't have that.
Here's Bibi brandishing map of aardvark land, includes West Bank and Gaza. There he is showing you greater aardvark land. They say it doesn't exist. You're crazy, person. Here's the Aardvark Times telling us, yeah, indeed. And go look at Bibi at the UN. You could see him outlining the whole thing here now. And Aardvark land at war. They didn't get the memo about the ceasefire at the Aardvark Times, apparently. Day 768. So that's where we're at here, Thomas, in the genocide. Day 768. That's all I got. You got any other reporting for us?
I sent you an article there with a video we can play on X. Trump talking about the new crypto economy. That will be interesting to show to the viewers. The new crypto economy. What Trump has to say about it. Of course, the EU. The fascist totalitarian dictatorship.
We lost Thomas. Let's play that clip. Hopefully you can come back. We're almost at the end here. Here's that clip from Trump about the new crypto economy.
Many Americans are unaware that behind the scenes, the technical backbone of the financial system is decades out of date, many, many years out of date. You know that Paul and others are straightening it out, but payments and money transfers are costly and take days or even weeks to clear. Under this bill, the entire ancient system will be eligible for a 21st century upgrade using the state-of-the-art crypto technology. Who would have thought we would have been saying that 2 years after many?
There you go. Looks like we lost Thomas as he did report internet connectivity issues. Yeah, look forward to programmable digital money here now. That's a workaround for the central bank digital currency, which was unpopular. They've just done a workaround. And so that is all coming here now. When the next engineered financial crisis hits, you better believe it. Problem, reaction, solution. They already have the solution. That is your programmable digital money, social credit score system, technocracy. We've been warning here. We've been warning. And with that, over to the channels. Let's check out the Odysee first. Who do we have on the Odysee today? Gur, Highland, John in the chat there. It is just that masks are being removed. We have known that Al-Qaeda was U.S. funded, and we knew ISIS fighters were treated in aardvark hospitals, that they never struck an aardvark target. Jelani is regional manager for U.S. sponsored terrorism, and he met another regional manager, Trump. That's a pretty damn good summation there, John. I appreciate it. In the chat over there on the Odysee is pretty damn good summation about what all's going on here with the reformed radical jihadist terrorists now at the White House shaking Trump's hand. that was pretty good comment there, John. Appreciate it. Who do we have? Deep insight. Must be no deceased fire. Yeah. It's I don't want to laugh and make light of it. People are dying, but it's so over the top ridiculous and just propaganda lie in your face. They're like, there's a ceasefire. You're like, dude, there's 3 dead dudes that you just shot. That's not a freaking ceasefire. You know what I mean? But it's every day. It's every day, right? It's every day. But hey, Trump says there's a ceasefire. Must be. John says destruction of farmland also serves the agenda of Bill Gates. The World Economic Forum and the UN, who mean to depopulate with famine and control survivors by controlling food. Indeed, John, indeed. Great comments about the one world government agenda. Aardvarks seeing fit to weed out any resistance that may be lurking there in Lebanon, the West Bank, or Palestine, doing their part for Western democracy. We did got Thomas back. We'll get his comments on the that Trump crypto clip, and then wrap up this show. Okay, Thomas, welcome back. What are your thoughts, comments? They're rolling out this programmable digital currency. That's what Trump was talking about. They're a workaround for the central bank digital currency, right?
Yeah, more centralized crap. Of course, Trump has made his own, stable coin, fraud coin. There was another one recently that just collapsed, another stable coin that got rug pulled, that even supposedly had a custodian over the crypto assets, and they somehow magically lost the money. Don't know what happened to it. Another aardvark firm. How about that? As a third-party custodian, they handed over the money to them and gone. It just, I guess, vanished into one of.
It's with the Epstein files.
It vanished into one of the many Howard Lutnick shell companies or something like that, I guess. With 800 plus of them, I mean, good luck ever finding it. Even too big for the Paragon Papers or Panama Papers investigative journalist swarms to even begin to unravel. Who's ever going to, and where are these people on that? You notice how that's completely silent, and you notice how there was no aardvark names in any of the Paragon or Panama Papers as well. So who is actually doing that investigation, trying to take down these Western non-aardvark leaders, right, to show all of their corruption and whatnot, but none of that stuff involving what's actually really going on with the Dominion scandal and so on. So Trump just, at least he's pro-crypto, but that's good, where the Democrats are going to totally eliminate all of it. So you have that side of it, two sides of the coin, where one side wants to force and just bomb everybody into slavery. And then you have the other side of their camp, the A scam, B scam, which is like, okay, we're going to have it. We're going to be supposedly pro because you got all of the people want it. So we're going to pretend like we're for that and then backdoor in the centralized slavery system. And we're going to monetize it with their own family. We'll own that. And that's what they're doing in the EU. They own the VaxPass apps, right? It's the same elite Zio families that own all of the VaxPass apps there, that own all of the track and trace software, that own all of the swabs and so on, and own all of the essential distribution networks for all of that, and own the media as well, doing that. So there it is again, right? And then you have your EU version of that as well, of course, which is the same, Zio institutions, the same Zio swarm that's over there, your transnational aardvark diaspora that's running NATO, and who Fetterman says that America should stay in NATO, but Congress should not get to decide war. That should just be the sole, whatever president gets in that they rig up on the selections machines, they should get to just go to war unilaterally whenever they feel like it, according to John Fetterman, who's supported Democrat down the ticket his whole life, not a single vote to any other party or any other independent or any other candidate, 100% Democrat his whole life. Let me talk about not being an independent mind. How can you claim that you're an independent mind and you don't ever, not a single time in your whole life out of, all of the, 30, 40, 50 different races, and you never chose anybody else out of any of the other candidates? I mean, that's quite interesting. But hello to Ruckus, and go to Weaponized News and get some of these real amazing coins right here. This would be great. You got to have a stable coin. Why not have a Weaponized News stable coin? That would be the one that I want. Of course, Trump is all for stealing, just extrajudiciously, just going ahead and stealing $16 billion of coins that somebody has in some foreign country, and saying, well, hey, some coins ended up in his wallet that were maybe stolen in some totally unrelated scam that had nothing to do with the guy in New York. So just because we can loosely claim that, eventually ended up into his possession, some Bitcoins that somebody else had, like 3, 4, 5 different people and mixers and exchanges down. Well, hey, that's proceeds of money laundering then. You see how this works, folks? So since it's all trackable, then we can just say it is whatever it is and just seize it whenever we feel like. And as Besson said, we're going to create a Bitcoin strategic reserve, not by actually investing any money, not by printing any money and investing it into Bitcoin. Oh, no. We definitely wouldn't do that. Just by seizing people's Bitcoin. So if you, Trump already
Thomas, as Ron Paul famously said and had the plaque on his desk, don't steal, government hates competition.
Right. So they're passing the Noahide laws, and if you make an anti-Semitic comment, well, that's against our democracy. We're going to seize your tokens. So now you have
that's why we're saying hug Aardvark, hug Fetterman's tumor on his neck. You know what I mean?
Right. So now you have a major announcement in the crypto world. The founders, the co-founders of Solana, the Solana blockchain, which is made out of Southern California, which is so famous now, they've just announced that they're going to transition Solana into a privacy coin so that the governments cannot do this. So that's really great news. So we'll end on some really fantastic news from the People's Money Network there, that they're fighting to actually retain some kind of sovereignty over the money system. So that's great.
To buy Bitcoin, then seize it. Yeah. All right. Market's going to pump on.
Well, they're not going to buy it. They're just going to seize yours, right? They're just going to seize yours.
Yeah.
They want you to go buy Bitcoin, and then they'll seize it.
Ruckus says market's going to pump on government reopening. They will get people to buy Bitcoin, then seize it. Yeah. Well, it's all for your own public safety, Ruckus. So we're in the golden age of America, and salute a veteran for dying in a legal foreign war of aggression for a multinational.
Let's all support no free speech democracy. Let's anti-free speech democracy. That's what X is. That's what X is.
Well, you got our great partners there in South Korea. They say no free speech there. Our great partners in UK, no free speech there. Our great partners in Aardvark land, no free speech there. And you ask about it, and they just scream democracy in your face. And that's where we're at here in our Orwellian,
you anti-Semite.
In our travels through our Orwellian nightmare of dystopia and one world government great reset on October 11th, 2025. Thank you for joining us. As always, everybody do your own research. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on Rumble, Kick, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, and X. Peace, love, and freedom. Speak out and take action. Have a great rest.